Oh, it's BiGG's world.
BiGG's World Entertainment, man. You know what the fuck going on, man. Always out here all day. You feel me? Catching it all day. I just want y'all to notice and see what the fuck going on. You see the big 444 right here. Inflation. Okay, inflation been at its highest for the past couple months. I had to save it personally until it was 444 because I knew that it was going to be that. Why? Because this is a spiritual thing going on. They fucking y'all heads up with this gas, you know what I'm saying? Because they owe. But I just want you to know it's only going to get worse. We are to the next recession.
B-I-B-I-G-G J-I-J-I-G-D 2 G's. I had to weigh up. I had to weigh up, had to re-up, had to stack it, had to trap it beat. I had to trap it beat. Before run.
Don't nobody fuck with me, and I don't give a fuck. I guess I'll just expose this shit by my motherfucking self. See, niggas be getting that motherfucking feeling and that feeling in between their heart and their stomach, you know what I'm saying? When they be figuring shit out and they be scared, they start sweating and shit. You see BiGG, you feel me? BiGG's World. I'm on y'all ass, nigga. Conspiracy news, conspiracy news, conspiracy news. What the fuck going on, man? You know what the fuck going on? This BiGG's World Entertainment in this bitch. Shout out Big Spray, man. Shout out Sprayed Inc. You know, I'm really excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm really excited about everything that I've been doing. You know, I do this all by myself, man. Like, I really love the people that support me. You know, I really love the people that want to even get in front of my camera and want to enjoy themselves, you feel me? I really enjoy the positivity too, you know, because if it ain't positive, if you doing something that ain't positive, what the fuck you doing it for, you feel me? I just want to let y'all know, you feel me? You have the power, you know what I mean? You have the power to create. You are the one. You. I just want you to know, you are the one. I want to take y'all to another place. While you watching this, I want you to take your mind out of your body. I want you to step out your body for a moment and understand that everything is okay. We all going through tough times right now, you know, and I just want everybody to know that it's okay, it's gonna be okay, man. All y'all hard workers out there, all y'all people get into that bag by yourself, go ahead, man, invest in something. Today we're not gonna get into the gateway experience. I wanna talk about your memory, how it's to fight for your memory and your soul right now. With them doing the CERN and them fucking with these clones and shit and these different bodies and shit, you know, sinking their consciousness and their brain into a whole nother form that they made themselves. It's fucking ridiculous. When we die, our spirit flies. So why, when you die or when somebody passes away, why would they want to put their brain into a system when we're already been living through a system? It doesn't make sense. Shout out Gaia, you feel me? Shout out the universe. You know what I'm saying? I really get all my research and I be writing shit down, you know what I'm saying, all the time. But there are hybrid people. There are switching people's DNA, you know what I'm saying? Hybrids are used for government spies and criminals, you know what I'm saying, and government personnel and contractors, you know. A type of species is Zeta Reticulum. They do pre-standard breeding, you know what I'm saying, putting two things together. Like say, your woman has a child, and then they put the traits of the mom, the mother of your baby mama, and then the traits of the guy's father, and then they mix it with the species, and then it turns it up. They mixing DNA into the people in the military, you know what I'm saying, to enhance them. I don't know. This shit wild to me too, you know. Hybrids being in a high position are them being in the military doing different things, you know what I'm saying, for them. Switching your DNA in the military, they call it being augmented. You know what I mean? That's what they call it. A clone is a soulless body of a person. A tiny fraction of a person's soul has to be attached to the physical body. The cells duplicate by 32 or 64 with it. It grows past if there's no soul, you know what I'm saying, placed in that temple. So I know I'm probably going over y'all heads right now, but I want you to understand that they are trying to make digital copies of y'all, of people. Like, come on now, all this fucking facial recognition, this face recognition shit, you know what I'm saying? The shit they just did with the Instagram shit, with you like automatically having to make an avatar and shit, you know what I'm saying? The metaverse, having you live a whole brand new different life on top of that. But they basically said they do that so they don't have harm into their physical temple, what they live in now. So with that, you know what I'm saying, is the transformation of the consciousness in the body, which is your soul develops. Your soul develops things from the experiences you face in your life. You know what I mean? I'm going to say that for you one more time. Your soul develops from the experiences you face in your life. So if you going through all of this shit, it's all about what you see. You're going to gain knowledge about what you see and what you hear, but what you actually physically see and the experiences that you do, the different things that you do, that if you do it positively, then positive things will happen. I was living in a negative light, you know what I'm saying? I used to live negative, and a lot of negative things was happening to me. But now that I'm in a positive light, I'm working in a positive light, and just helping other people as well, a lot of positive things will happen to me. But I hope all you people, you know what I'm saying, with a bad thought pattern, just switch that. You feel me? I hope that y'all be able to understand that with the greater good, and you understand the greater God and pushing yourself to the highest limit at all times, you will be successful. There are non-player characters out here. People that look like humans and can communicate and everything but have no conscience. There's people out here that you can communicate with that have no conscience at all. But our perception and our word can bring out the light in them. So with people being blinded, when they wake up, as soon as they wake up in the morning, they looking straight at their phone. You know what I mean? As soon as they wake up in the morning, they thinking about what they thought about last night before they went to sleep. You know what I mean? All that type of stuff. People just being blind and just not aware about the distractions of what's going on in their life. You gotta observe. You gotta observe what's going on around you. But like I'm saying, that our perception and our word brings them to light. You wouldn't be influenced, or you wouldn't have seen it, or would have wanted to do it unless somebody else was doing it, or unless you seen it. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have that influence. I'm influenced by all these artists. You know what I'm saying? Growing up my whole life, I'm influenced by movies. I'm influenced by creativity, art. You know what I'm saying? I'm influenced by just anything as a whole that has to do with being creative. But I would never have that perception if I never seen the colors, if I never seen the making of something, the developing of something. I developed all this shit by myself. BiGG's world, nigga. Feel me? But the covert military space program, that the Colvard military space program is what it is. That's what they doing. That how you can look that shit up yourself. The shit called Project Mannequin. Okay. It's a society that be doing shit on people or whatever that they was targeting called the Greys for manipulating people's DNA or whatever, because you can take just a piece. You know, it's not like, you gotta think about your whole life and your spirit. You know what I'm saying? They only want to just take a piece. You know, and that feeling that you get. You know what I'm saying? You doing something that you wouldn't normally do, but you doing it for something in exchange, that's taking a piece of your spirit. You know what I mean? If, perfect example, you know what I'm saying? You signing a deal. You never had to. Somebody comes out of nowhere and tell you that, okay, I'm gonna do this and that for you. I see that this is what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You're an artist, you're a rapper, but you got to do these shows. You got to see these people. You got to do this interview. You got to record for this time. You got to do this time. You got to do that. You're not even going in your own pace. You know what I'm saying? But that check right though. That check where you need to be, where it need to be. So you go ahead and do what you want to do. Okay. So another example. Say you hitting the lick. Say you hitting the lick or something. You feel me? And it ain't even worth it. That feeling that you got before, why did you even do it? They sink a piece of their consciousness into the clone, you feel me, to reach a connection with something to not gain any harm. Basically an empty vessel. I'm gonna show you what the fuck I'm talking about, because, you know, I don't want to seem like no crazy nigga or nothing, but I just observe different things, you feel me?
For a hybrid to be on the planet and have a high political position or military position that could be working in a nefarious way.
Oh, interesting.
So that's an interesting question. I would say, from what I understand, that's not as likely as some people might think it is, because if you're actually making a regular hybrid, which isn't the same thing as an augmented hybrid, which you're very much picking and choosing which genetics to go in.
And we'll talk about what those two are.
Yeah, but if you really are just like, okay, you know, this person is, we'll just use an example and say it's a zeta reticulin and a human, and they're like, already we need to make a hybrid so that we can communicate better, so that we have an interactive person, and then they basically do pretty standard breeding, intermixing, so that you end up with something that's a blend. And so if a species was really not like us and they wanted to make a hybrid, it would be a real blend. And unless it looked just like us, it would look pretty different.
So if we're talking about the question if hybrids can get into high positions in the Earth system, I think that can happen. So I don't think that hybrids that look totally exotic would have the abilities to, blend into the system. But a lot of hybrids, because they have different experiences, they have different genetic profiles, a different set of skills and skill levels, they pretty easily can maneuver inside of this Earth system. So I know that some of the Grace hybrids can or have, they naturally find it easier to rank highly in some positions. I also think that some hybrids are, contracted by the military, or at least working in the military. If we're talking about totally exotic ones, then I think it would be impossible to blend in.
They wouldn't blend in.
Yes.
So let's talk about the definition of what is a hybrid. And I'm glad you said the other one, augmented hybrid, because those are two kind of different definitions there. Would you like to start?
Sure, I'll make it as easy and relatable as possible. So I have two children. I have a daughter and I have a son. My daughter is also a Marine. She is an augmented Marine like me, so she has been genetically mixed and augmented and switched. So she's an example of a hybrid augment because of the DNA that they placed into her strain like they did into mine. They're probably probably not identical, but they're different, unique. But that would be an augmented hybrid. My son is the result of his Sonoran mother and his Terran father, and so he's a hybrid. He has no augmentations. We didn't tinker with him or mess with him. That was just Sonoran mommy, Terran daddy, make hybrid baby boy. So that's the perfect example I can come up with, since I have one of each. So
does he look more like you or more like?
Well, the last time I saw him, he was about this big.
Okay.
So he has his mother's eye. Well, he actually has one Sonoran eye and one Terran eye. So he kind of has his mother's eye and one of mine, which is, hopefully that won't be too hard on him as he's growing up. But hard to say who he looked more like, his mom or me at that age. So we'll see what happens when he gets a little older.
Mm-hmm. What would your definition be, Tim, of a hybrid, a hybridization of human or ET? You know, because there are, of course, hybrids that look just like humans, but they're hybrids. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can explain that.
I've never thought about a definition for that, but I think if a species take some of their own genetic material and fuses it with a different natural occurring material, then we have a hybrid. While, as Randy said it, there can be some artificial constructed beings that, you know, they can be stable to exist. That could be a different definition for a hybrid, but in the context we're talking about, I would say it's one species taking their own genetic material and infusing it into some other species.
I know of clones being made in the projects. What could you elaborate on that and your experience with clones, Randy and Tim?
Sure. A clone is basically just a copy. It's essentially a soulless copy of a person. My understanding is that there is a requirement that is the tiniest fraction of that person's soul that has to be attached to the physical body so that the cells duplicate beyond 32 or 64 or what it is. So there's a limitation. They won't grow past that if there isn't some piece of a soul in there. But because it's just a teeny little sliver, they don't really have one. And so they're not considered a person. They're not legally considered a person because they're not a soul inside them. So they tend to be not very bright. They tend to be very undisciplined. They tend to be very difficult to train if you're trying to train a clone to actually fight. That's why we ended up abandoning clone armies, because they're a horrible idea. But a clone is basically just a copy. Now, if, in my case, this is not my original body. My original body has been destroyed, and because it was beat up and bruised and old so many times that they had to give me a young one and put me back. So this is a clone body. But I'm not a clone because as soon as they put my soul into the body, it's now a person. It's now legally a person, and it's me, and I'm no longer considered a clone, even though the body is a clone body. So for something to be considered a clone, it has to have no soul or consciousness in it. If you take a clone and you put somebody in it, all of a sudden it's now classified as a person, and it's no longer a clone.
All right. Tim, you explained to me at one point about the transformation of consciousness into the body. So explain to me about clones and how, you know, that all fits into place. Is there a soul, a spirit, a consciousness, and how do they do that?
At first we need to define what is a soul. A soul seems to be a container that collects all the experiences that an individual consciousness unit collects over several lifetimes, over several other experiences. So, and a soul seems to be something that at one point of evolution of an individual is growing, or it's something that starts somewhere. So not every being has a soul, but it can develop a soul at one point. And it seems that creating or developing a soul is fairly close connected to developing an I consciousness, which is where the collection of I as an observer starts. And that seems to be the initial moment where a container or soul, you know, starts to grow. And from every life period and whatever experience they an eye has and collects, it all went to the soul container and gets integrated into that. And from that point, decided on where a soul or an individual goes in their spiritual evolution.
So if I'm growing a person and making a clone, or if I'm 3D printing a person, we didn't get into that yet. How does this energy from source, or the soul, or the consciousness enter?
Two things. First, there are also, or at least it's been said, that there seem to be some non-player characters, which means there are beings that look like humans, which are approachable, you can talk to them, but they are not consciousness units, so they have no eye, but our own perception of consciousness seems to fill them. The other thing is that invocation, or bringing a soul to an individual or whatever, is something that could be done. So when Randy is talking about clones having no soul, and if you put in the effort and the energy, then my soul and my consciousness could raise a soul in any other being as well. And the way I understand it, the reason why, for example, humans are living so closely together with other species is because they evolve through that. So being close together for species can be benevolent to them. So they raise their eye consciousness and they create a soul. So if you have like a pet, like a dog or something that you love, and you connect to the dog a lot, then this dog totally benefits from that. The soul of the dog benefits from that, and the eye consciousness of the dog benefits from that. And maybe the dog, when it dies, it has so many experience about humans, opening all the tins and giving food, which the dog, it cannot do that on their own. So maybe the soul feels inspired in the next evolutionary step that it gets integrated in humanity. It becomes, for example, a human and makes this experience to open their food tin for themselves.
Right. It seems like a holographic thing that's being holographically from you to me to Randy to the clone over here.
It's an experiencing thing. Eye awareness needs to be created in order to have a soul. But if I project my own soul into something, then we have the same natural patterns that the universe did in the first place, because one being that we all are projected itself into lots and lots and infinite objects, things, and other forms of life.
Is there a group of people or extraterrestrials or a faction or a government that's behind a specific hybrid program here on planet Earth?
Well, as far as the covert military space program activities are concerned, the program that's in charge of that, which is multinational, multi-cooperation, is called Project Mannequin, oddly enough. So I know that's the program that manages and sorts all of that, but I'm not sure. And as far as I understand, pretty much everyone participates in that program. It's like, how they make everything for everybody, do clone replication for all of that. But it's one program that's essentially at the center of that, and it's called Project Mannequin.
Right. Tim, you had mentioned to me about the Greys, manipulating DNA a long time ago. That's kind of basically a hybrid program.
Yeah, you could call that. But they have their own hybrid programs where they put communicative species as intermediaries on the planet, and also, doing some work for them.
So the agenda is a positive one.
The agenda is basically benefiting the Greys and also benefiting the overall evolution of the universe, which seems to be a thing for the Greys in order to gain back their spiritual and evolutionary path.
Are you guys aware of any extraterrestrials making human-looking clones and being sent down to Earth?
Yes, so the Greys have a technology that I'm aware of where they basically produce a human-looking vessel where they project their individual consciousness into that, and they can, for example, they also use that in order to communicate with people in a more non-threatening way. So again, I don't know if that is true, but it has been said to me that there are human beings on this planet that do not have obtained an eye awareness. They are looking like they are autonomously, moving around and operating, but they seem to be empty vessels. And I know that there are some species that use those empty vessels and project their own awareness inside of them. Probably like looking through a glass window or something and then controlling the human that is there.
Is it upregulating that human to a higher consciousness when they do that?
No, well, it seems that there are some humans, let's call them humans, I don't know, they look like humans, but they're basically non-aware bodies in order to fill up the space of the universe. I'm not sure if that is true, but this is something that I've been told. And some species use those empty vessels, because they do not have a free will. They could have a free will if they have an eye awareness, but they do not have an eye awareness, and they project their own eye awareness inside of them and can use them for a temporal purpose for a short time in order to maneuver around the Earth and in order to interact with people.
What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, the technical word for that is called teleoperation. So essentially, if a being of any type is sitting in a chair that's essentially the control mechanism, and then chooses either a mechanical, biological drone, which could be a clone body, could be a human body, could be an alien body, could be a robot, anything at all, is basically remote controlling or using sensory collection so that you can hear, see everything that the drone is essentially experiencing. That's called teleoperation. And we use it, ETs have used it forever and ever and ever. And so, yeah, there are some of these sort of empty vessels that, they use for that and just pop down when they need to use it, drive it around for a minute, use it to talk, make something, and then, turn off, cut the signal. And then in some cases, these sort of soulless people then just continuing about their lives. Yeah. But it's teleoperation. Absolutely. It's one of the most common ways in which we've been doing more recently, and other species interact with other worlds without the cross-contamination of biology, which bacteria, viruses, and all of that. Really, the simplest way to do that is not to wear a spacesuit, but to actually use a teleoperated body that doesn't have to come back through decontamination.
How would you recognize a soulless human being?
Oh, the eyes, for sure. Looking into the eyes. The eyes are just hollow. They're just hollow, empty eyes.
We call them 8 balls.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
We call them 8 balls.
Yeah, hollow, empty eyes.
Sometimes you'll see it just for a second where the eye will go completely black for just a second, and then it goes back to normal.
Yeah, we truly see each other's souls through the eyes. And so when there's nothing there, the lights are on, no one's home. Yeah, they're empty, hollow.
I think also because we have this effect where we project our own awareness, several meters or even at larger distances when we're trained, that sometimes you meet somebody and this person, interacts with you just in the way you want things to turn out. And I think that this is a sign of significance for an indicator for projecting your own awareness into an empty vessel that then reacts upon it, which has no eye awareness. I think that could be an indicator for, finding that out.
Do you guys believe these hybrids and clones on Earth are here to do what?
I'd say the largest percentage of what they're for is passive intelligence or communication. Most of them are not used for military purposes or to kill someone or be an assassin or something like that. Most of it's, passive intelligence gathering or communication, I would say. Doesn't mean that it couldn't be used for another purpose or something that was a little scary, but I think your percentages wise, you're talking about something that presents a very, very low tangible threat to any people whatsoever, let alone the species or civilization at large.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of extraterrestrial programs with hybrids and clones doing this, here on planet Earth?
You mean doing it on the surface?
Well,
of
no,
Earth?
they could be making them anywhere and then placing them here on the planet. And for what reason? For what agenda?
Oh, yeah. So, as Randy already said, put it correctly, many of those programs about hybrids is to communicate with species or doing some part in benefit for the mission of the species. So, yeah, that's totally...
Are they relaying information back to these extraterrestrials? And who are these extraterrestrials involved with these hybrid clone programs?
We find that the more we look into these programs, the more we discover these programs, the more our intelligence networks tracks down unofficial presence, unofficial activity. Essentially, if you're an extraterrestrial and you're in the solar system or you're within the Terran sphere and you don't have your paperwork, you're unauthorized to be here or doing whatever you're doing. So we've been going through the process of investigating, identifying, tracking down the people without their papers that they're not supposed to be acting here, and mostly shutting them down as we go through the process. But what we're finding is a majority of them are programs run by other species to do, what they think is upgrading or helping people. What we do find is I've had a couple of cases of people who've been dealing directly with these species and then tinkering that they've been doing with them is some of these species are a little arrogant in the sense that they think, no, we're helping you. We know we're helping you. It's good what we're doing. You don't understand it, but we're helping you. And in their way that they're seeing what they're doing, they think they're really helping. But what we've had to say is like, look, I appreciate that you think you're helping. Do you have any idea what you're putting this person through? Do you have any idea like how much trauma, emotional and psychological scarring you're giving to this person to help them? Like, no, you're doing it wrong. And, we have the ability to tell people in these programs to stop and to cease and desist. And there's a whole process for issuing cease and desist orders, which what we're finding sometimes works right away, but sometimes still is like, well, all right, we'll comply with the cease and desist for a moment, but we still know better. We know we're really helping. And what we've also found is then when we deal directly with the programs, after 3 or 4 cease and desist, we go, all right, we're going above your head to your chain of command, to your superiors. And often when we go to them, we find that these are rogue covert programs that the people in charge know nothing about. They don't even know that they're operating.
Now, you have mentioned to me in the past, Randy, on a few occasions, that you did capture rogue, cloned, and hybrid program people that were doing nefarious activities, and that there are actually teams out there that are actually made for this.
Oh, yeah. There are very specific teams that their job is to investigate, track, and in some cases hunt down, capture, or search and destroy. So, yeah, we have some very good people on top of that. Like any criminal investigation process, you have a filtering process of every case that pops up. How severe is it? How bad is it? How many people are being affected by it? So we prioritize and go after the worst offenders, and often, again, try to go through the process of issuing cease and desist so that we don't have to look like we're being thugs, because the intergalactic community looks at what we're doing, and when we just bang people on the head without using the legal process, they shake their finger at us. But, oh yeah, there's definitely some people whose job it is to hunt those people down and remove them if necessary.
We have been talking about extraterrestrials for most part of the show with clones and hybrids. But are you guys aware of any corporations or military government, political entities that are making clones for their own agendas?
Yes. So it's banned across military intelligence programs. So military intelligence programs are not supposed to be making clones. From our experience, we've also understood that they're a waste of money for the most part. You can't train clone armies or clone soldiers very well. So there are probably not too many rogue military intelligence programs at the time. I would say the worst offender of that are private contractor and corporate programs.
Absolutely.
That don't give a crap about, what things they're messing with beyond their ken that they shouldn't be. So mostly it's corporate programs who are looking for the cheapest, most effective use of body power, manpower.
Or growing bodies just to use their organs for...
Right, organ harvesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Tim, as we wrap this episode up, do you see a time where there's going to be humans and hybrids and possibly even clones living together in the future?
Well, one thing is for sure that the different influences that people have on this planet coming from different manipulator species probably has resulted in a a situation rich in conflicts. So a lot of the racial problems that people have on Earth, I'd say, comes also from the different species and different subspecies and manipulations that we have. But I also think that the planet is learning more and more how to come together, that species, even if we look different or have different, coming from different regions of the world, having different backgrounds, that we're all together here. And I assume that because a lot of hybrids have been placed here in order to communicate and in order to, approach a more open scenario of communication, that this will eventually be something that every planet and the whole universe, will experience in some time.
In the advancement of disclosure, what do you think would help more? Would it be the extraterrestrials, the hybrids and clones? What do you think?
I think that the majority of hybrids are put here in order to initiate some kind of contact. So putting hybrids on this planet is an approach in order to get...
It's like the first step.
It's the first step, yes. Yeah. I also think that in contrast to that, it would be more beneficial to the soul of humans, of humanity, to actually experience some kind of non-terrestrial being. The best it would be, because we talked about correlationism, which means the best would be contact with a humanoid species that is a little different, a little different to what people on Earth are, but still relatable. So I think that would be the best. Yeah, maybe because hybrids can be that. So This could be a scenario.
Yeah. What do you think, Randy?
I think it could be helpful, but my concern is that creating other racial species variations just makes for more things for certain people to hate. So I'm not sure that's not a blanket answer to say that just because you have hybrids or aliens that everyone's
definitely a possibility for
But I think
sure.
it's a possibility, and I would have to agree though that the most human-like, it's a little different, is really the best stepping stone transition to that. And to be honest, I'd be concerned for some of their hybrid safety and well-being if people started to talk about, there's hybrids everywhere. I could make some of them very unsafe.
Yeah, I can see already laws being made just for them.
Yeah.
Political things.
Or certainly turning into some kind of, politicization.
Right.
I think the best way is to have a humanoid species that is exotic enough to realize we are not alone,
right,
but still relatable.
Oh, that would be the
Agreed.
key.
Agreed.
Totally agreed.
Like with them trying to open up a portal and trying to go to another dimension, you feel me? It's only 25% dark matter in the world, and they trying to open up more dark matter to reach the top of the pinnacle. because they already manipulated us with the food, the schooling, the infrastructure, and the propaganda. So to gain that full control, all we have to do is understand and come together. That's something that they never wanted or never wanted us to know, you know. You can't keep up, you know. I'm only 24 years old. I know the things that I know, and I gain the knowledge that I know because I took the time to observe what was going on around me. And I was at a point in my life to where I didn't understand nothing. But I understand now. I understand that I have a purpose because I was able to have kids. I just want the best for everybody and the best for the whole world because you deserve what you deserve. You know, everything, our story was already written. So I can't tell you how to live. But all I can tell you is if you actually meditate and you sit down and you learn, you might feel some type of way. Shout out Sprayed Ink. Shout out Lino Cuz. Shout out everybody, man, I've been working with, man. Y'all the best ever, man. For real, y'all the best. If you don't know, if you don't know, or if you ain't noticed, we are definitely leading into our next recession, you know what I'm saying? There's too much going on. Shit really fucked up out here. Everything is it's character, for real. Like, I hope you know, and you notice what the fuck I noticed. I mean, how about I show you what the fuck going on? Conspiracy news, conspiracy news, conspiracy news, conspiracy news. What the fuck going on with y'all, man? I had to come back, rewind it, man. We come back on y'all motherfuckers because y'all ain't understand. I don't really think y'all know what the point I was getting at. I have a couple guests, you know what I'm saying? I just want to know their opinion on what I have to ask them, you know what I'm saying? Big Jordan Entertainment, you know what the fuck going on, you know what I'm saying? Today with me, I have
Brandi
and Zir. And today, you guys, you know what I'm saying? I just want to know how you guys feel about sinking your brain and your consciousness into a clone or another body or a skin that may look like you when you die. Like, say, what if the option was, if you died, you wouldn't have to get buried or anything. They would put your brain into a computer and you could live forever.
Into a computer? I don't know how I feel about that. Damn, that's a good question.
That is a good question. That's a good ass question. I feel like for me, if, for example, like pretty much saying longevity wise, if I was to die, instead of actually being out for eternity, I would be a clone. Someone else would have literal everything I can do myself, but in a robot form is what you're saying. For me, I don't know. I feel like, for example, let's say in perspective, inner self work. I feel like what you've experienced from your past is what makes you. Even if there's behaviors you don't like from the past, you will fix those. So say you're where you feel content as a human being, your thinking, your morals, your values. If I was content with my life and then I was to put it, with a robot, I don't feel like I would really have no issue, no problem. But if I feel like I'm just mentally messed up, like I'm not really connected with myself and my actual brain, I'm able to let people cloud my judgment, hell no. Because then I'm dying, I'm technically gone, but still having someone relive my life, but not actually living it the way I would want it to be. So that's how I would feel about it.
Facts. And she said something that really just blew my mind because you wouldn't know what you going through, or you wouldn't gain any type of knowledge if you're not having the experiences through your life. And I was just talking about that yesterday without you even being here, and you said that. That's wonderful.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? So there is a gaining of understanding in this universe.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Conspiracy news, conspiracy news, conspiracy news, conspiracy news.
Conspiracy news.
No school for this shit, stupid. Ain't no school for this shit. You gotta be smart enough to pick up the information as you go. Now the crazy shit is niggas that look like you doing something wrong. Why do wrong? Now motherfuckers say you crazy, nigga call me crazy. You know I be thinking when they say that? Niggas say I'm crazy, I be thinking, yep. I was crazy enough to believe what the fuck I was saying gonna happen was gonna happen. And that's why I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist now. Feel what I'm saying? So explain to me, like, when I'm coming up, niggas is like, yo, who with him? Like, who he with? Me, nigga. By myself, now I do what the fuck I wanna do. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the young niggas love me, they love me. You know why they love me? They think like me. Nigga, we the same, we come up the same corners, we ain't had much. You understand what I'm saying? You just gotta hustle, nigga. You gotta go hard, man. You see it playing games, man? Niggas got it, I'm gonna get it, trust me. I'm gonna get mine, I don't know about y'all niggas. You know what I'm saying? That niggas on bullshit. Real shit, man. Like, I mean, like, I don't even know what to say to niggas, man. I go to my hood, niggas like, yo, what up? I be like, man, get the fuck out of here. I ain't talking to this nigga. What the fuck am I talking to this nigga for? You know what my grandfather told me? You'll get as far as the motherfuckers you talk to for no reason. You'll be successful as the motherfuckers that you talk to for no reason. What I mean is, if you spending your day talking to a nigga that ain't got nothing going on, what the fuck kind of information could he offer you? Can he help you learn something? Can he teach you something in the conversation? Leave me the fuck alone, man. Y'all niggas
Freaking crazy. Shout out my OG, shout out my OG, yeah, my OGs that show me every way. Show me I can do it, nigga, do it every day. I took my own steps, yeah, I made my own way. Hold on, they see the world on my chest, bitch, is big world. And I wouldn't even have the tools if I wasn't true to it.